We don't know where they went. But there's a flag there now, reaches its dramatic peak, when an undetectable drone materializes during the official Omni Azure annexation ceremony, planting an Auroran Republic flag directly beside Arwen's freshly installed Confederation standard. This shocking demonstration of invisible human presence shatters the team's confidence, proving that unknown forces can infiltrate their most secure operations with impunity. The crystalline sands of Aurelius 9 glittered beneath the stark light of its binary stars. Lieutenant Commander Arwen Kale adjusted her environmental suit's cooling system as she gazed out at the endless desert stretching before her. She'd performed 17 planetary annexations for the Omni Azure Confederation, and this one promised to be just as unremarkable as the others. "Ensign Sykes," she called over the comm. "Status report on the preliminary scans?" Marlowe Sykes, barely 26, and on his first deployment with the Survey Corps, appeared excited, despite the routine nature of their mission. "All green, Commander. The automated probes confirm prior intelligence. No life signs detected. Surface temperature 52 degrees Celsius. Mineral composition exactly as previously surveyed. We're good to proceed with the 48-hour protocol." Arwen nodded. Aurelius 9 was a resource-rich exoplanet that had been on Omni Azure's annexation list for years. Initial surveys had confirmed its uninhabited status, and their mission was simple: conduct a final verification sweep. And if no intelligent life was detected after a continuous 48-hour sensor sweep, plant the Omni Azure flag and claim the planet for the Confederation. "Very good. Ensign, let's set up the primary sensor array at coordinates Alpha 7. Lieutenant Penn, secure the perimeter. Dr. Van, I want geological confirmation of the initial survey data." The small team moved with practiced efficiency. Lieutenant Idrin Penn, a stocky security officer with 15 years of experience, began deploying perimeter sensors with quick, assured movements. Dr. Alora Van, the team's planetary geologist, was already kneeling in the crystalline sand, collecting samples while consulting her datapad. "Coda 9, Arwen addressed the hovering AI unit that accompanied them. "Begin official mission log. Cite Article 314C of the Interstellar Annexation Manual." The sleek, silver drone bobbed slightly in acknowledgement. Recording commenced. It responded in its pleasantly modulated voice. Article 314C states that if no legitimate occupants are detected after 48 standard hours of continuous sensor sweeps, the planet is safe to claim under Omni Azure Confederation jurisdiction. Arwen gazed up at the harsh sky. She felt the familiar sense of satisfaction that came with expanding the Confederation's territory. The Omni Azure Confederation represented order, progress, and stability in an often chaotic galaxy. In her 13 years of service, she'd helped bring that order to 17 worlds. Aurelius 9 would be the 18th. "Commander!" Sykes's voice crackled over the comm, tinged with an unfamiliar note of confusion. "I think you should see this." Arwen frowned. The young officer had wandered about half a kilometer away, deeper into a crystalline canyon formation. "What is it, Ensign?" I don't know how to explain it. Commander, you should see this." With a sigh, Arwen signaled to Penn. "Lieutenant, with me. Dr. Van, continue your work. Coda 9, maintain surveillance." The two officers made their way into the narrow canyon, the crystalline walls casting rainbow-hued reflections across their environmental suits. As they rounded a bend, Arwen spotted Sykes standing motionless, staring up at something embedded in the canyon wall. When she saw what had captured the ensign's attention, she stopped short, momentarily speechless. There, planted firmly in a crevice about 2 meters up the canyon wall, was a flag. Not just any flag, an Auroran Republic flag. Its blue, silver, and green colors faded but unmistakable. The Auroran Republic had been a human-only faction that had dissolved following civil conflict 5 decades ago. "What in the seven systems?" Penn muttered, drawing his sidearm reflexively. Arwen approached the flag slowly, studying it with growing confusion. Beneath it, a crude metal plaque had been soldered to the rock face. The inscription, in imperfect Auroran common script, read simply, "Dibs. No takes back." "Coda 9, she called, her voice tight with confusion. "Scan the flag. Determine age and composition." The AI unit floated forward, its sensors pulsing with soft blue light. Flag material is standard Auroran synthetic fiber. Age estimate based on degradation patterns, between 90 and 120 standard days. Plaque is composed of locally sourced ferrous material, likely extracted from subsurface deposits. Arwen felt a cold sensation that had nothing to do with her suit's temperature controls. "That's impossible. This system hasn't recorded any ship traffic, Auroran or otherwise, in years. And the Republic dissolved decades ago." "Could it be a prank, Commander?" Sykes asked, his earlier excitement replaced with unease. "Maybe another Confederation team left it here? Without logging it? Without reporting non-standard findings?" Arwen shook her head. "That would violate at least 7 protocols." Penn kept his weapon drawn, scanning the canyon with narrowed eyes. "Commander, I recommend we abort the mission and report this immediately. This could be sabotage, or a trap." Arwen considered the recommendation. The unexpected presence of a human faction flag, a defunct faction, no less, contradicted all database records. Protocol dictated immediate reporting of anomalies. But something about the situation, the casual dibs message, the apparent age of the flag, made her hesitate. "No," she decided finally. "We proceed with the mission as planned, but we expand our survey radius. 48 hours from now, if we detect no actual life forms or active technology signatures, we plant the Omni-Azure flag as scheduled. But I want grid scans at 500-meter intervals, covering a 10-kilometer radius." "Commander," Penn began to protest. "That's an order, Lieutenant." Arwen cut him off. "Document the anomaly. We'll include it in our report. But we don't abort a priority annexation because of what appears to be an old prank." As they made their way back to the base camp, Arwen couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. The flag shouldn't be there. Couldn't be there, according to all sensor data and ship logs. Yet it was, planted with casual confidence in the canyon wall, claiming territory that by all rights should be unclaimed. "Commander," Dr. Van looked up from her instruments as they returned, her expression placid despite the news of the flag. "Initial geological analysis confirms survey data, rich mineral deposits, particularly in sections beta through delta. No surprises there, at least." "Thank you, Doctor," Arwen replied, glancing at her chronometer. "The 48-hour clock begins now. Ensign Sykes, deploy the extended-range sensors, as discussed. Lieutenant Penn, establish a security perimeter and run continuous scans. I want to know if anything moves on this planet." As the team dispersed to their tasks, Arwen stood alone for a moment, looking out at the glittering expanse of Aurelius 9. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that somewhere, someone was laughing at their confusion. "Coda 9, she said quietly to the AI unit hovering nearby. "Off-record assessment. What's your analysis of the flag situation?" The drone bobbed slightly, its processors whirring. "Limited data suggests a paradox. Lieutenant Commander, the flag should not exist in its present location, yet it does. Logic dictates either a failure in our detection systems or deliberate evasion of said systems by parties unknown. Which is more likely? Insufficient data to determine. However, the precision of Omni-Azure detection systems has a 99.87% reliability rating. Deliberate evasion would require technology beyond current registered capabilities." Arwen frowned. "So either our systems failed, or someone has capabilities we don't know about. Correct assessment, Lieutenant Commander. Neither option was particularly comforting. The first 12 hours passed uneventfully. The team established their base camp, deployed sensors, and began the standard annexation preparations. Arwen maintained calm silence with Confederation headquarters. No point alarming the bureaucrats until they had more information. Then Coda 9 detected something unusual. Lieutenant Commander, the AI unit reported. Sensors are detecting irregular heat signatures approximately 3.7 kilometers northeast of our position. Arwen looked up from her datapad immediately. Life forms? Negative. Signature is consistent with recent geological activity. However, when I ran a second sweep, the signatures were gone. Arwen frowned. That doesn't make sense. Geological heat sources don't just disappear. Correct. Lieutenant Commander, logic suggests either sensor malfunction or deliberate masking of heat signatures. Penn, who had been monitoring the security perimeter, looked up sharply. Commander, request permission to investigate the site. Arwen considered for a moment. Granted. Take Sykes with you. Dr. Van and I will continue the base scans. Maintain open comms. As Penn and Sykes departed in one of the survey vehicles, Dr. Van approached Arwen, her expression thoughtful. Commander, may I show you something unusual I've discovered? Arwen followed the geologist to a nearby outcropping. Van pointed to what appeared to be scratches in the rock face. At first, I thought these were natural striations, but upon closer inspection, she activated a light filter on her helmet, and suddenly, the scratches resolved into a crude line drawing. Arwen stared. The etching showed what appeared to be a cartoonish human figure, wearing what looked like a tattered spacesuit, sitting beneath a flag with its thumb raised. Beneath it, scratched in the same rough style, were the words, Greg's crew was here. What in the void? Arwen muttered. The tool marks are recent, Van continued, her voice clinically detached. Within the last standard month, based on erosion patterns, Arwen fought to maintain her composure. Document it. Add it to the anomaly report. Commander, Penn's voice crackled over the comm. We've found something at the heat signature location. It's a cave entrance. Scans show it leads to a network of tunnels. But here's the strange part. The tunnels are too symmetrical to be natural formations. Proceed with caution. Lieutenant, deploy reconnaissance drones first. Already done, Commander. But... Penn hesitated. The drones are showing something very strange. The tunnel network appears to be collapsing in on itself, or rather, becoming invisible to our scanners. I've never seen anything like it. Arwen felt her heart rate accelerate. Pull back. Lieutenant, return to base immediately. But Commander... That's an order. Penn, return now. As she signed off, Arwen turned to find Dr. Van watching her, with a calculating expression. Commander, the geologist said quietly, I believe we are dealing with a situation outside standard protocols. Explain. The flag, the etching. Now these tunnels that seem to evade our scanners, they all point to one conclusion. Someone with highly advanced technology has been here before us and is deliberately playing games. Arwen frowned. For what purpose? Unknown, but I suggest we proceed with extreme caution. When Penn and Sykes returned, the team gathered in the command module of their survey shuttle. The mood was tense as they shared their findings. The tunnels simply disappeared from our scans, Sykes explained, his earlier enthusiasm replaced with bewildered frustration. One moment they were there, the next, nothing. But we all saw them initially. Could it be sensor malfunction? Arwen asked, though she already suspected the answer. Penn shook his head firmly. Negative, Commander. We ran diagnostics immediately, all systems functioning at optimal levels. So someone or something is actively interfering with our technology, Arwen concluded. Commander, Penn said, his voice tight with controlled tension. I strongly recommend we abort this mission and call for reinforcements. Protocol 17B clearly states that in cases of suspected technological sabotage— I know the protocols, Lieutenant, Arwen interrupted. But we have no concrete evidence of sabotage, only anomalies. And the Confederation doesn't deploy battlecruisers for anomalies. Then what do you suggest? Penn demanded, his frustration evident. We continue the mission as planned, Arwen replied firmly. We have 34 hours remaining in our survey window. We document everything meticulously. And we proceed with the annexation, unless we find concrete evidence of current occupation. Sykes looked uncomfortable. Commander, with all due respect, these findings suggest someone called Greg's crew has already claimed this planet. Shouldn't that count as evidence of occupation? Arwen fixed the young officer with a stern look. Ensign, Omni-Azure annexation protocols require evidence of current intelligent habitation. A flag, an etching, and tunnels that may or may not exist do not meet that threshold. We need life signs, active technology signatures, or direct contact. The ensign subsided, but the tension in the command module remained palpable. Dr. Van, Arwen continued, continue your geological survey, but focus on areas with potential for hidden structures. Lieutenant Penn, double the security scan frequency and deploy additional perimeter sensors. Ensign Sykes, analyze all comm frequencies for any potential signals, however faint. I want to know if anyone is trying to communicate on or off this planet. As the team dispersed to their assignments, Arwen remained in the command module, reviewing the mission parameters. She knew that by strictly adhering to protocol, she was making the correct decision. But a growing part of her wondered if they were being lured into some kind of trap, or worse, made to look like fools. The next 12 hours brought more puzzling discoveries. During a routine sweep of a dry riverbed, 2 kilometers south of their base, Sykes discovered a scattered collection of tattered human ration wrappers. The packaging was emblazoned with Victory Blend Cola, a popular beverage among human military units during the last frontier expansion. Yet, there were no bodies, no life pods, no equipment beyond these few wrappers, and most strangely of all, a set of footprints led away from the site, only to stop abruptly in the middle of the riverbed, as if whoever had made them had simply vanished into thin air. More alarming still, the communication relay tower they had established upon arrival inexplicably malfunctioned during the night cycle. When Coda 9 ran diagnostics, it discovered that the system's digital logs had been completely wiped, not corrupted or damaged, but methodically erased, as if someone had slipped through their security measures like a ghost. By the 36-hour mark, the strain was beginning to show on the team. Penn had taken to patrolling the perimeter personally, his hand never far from his sidearm. Sykes had grown obsessed with Greg's crew, spending his off-duty hours sketching possible hideouts on his holopad. Even Dr. Van, typically the most composed member of the team, admitted that the phenomena they were experiencing defied logical explanation. Arwen found herself repeatedly reviewing sensor data, searching for patterns, for errors, for any explanation that would make sense of what they were experiencing. But each review only deepened the mystery. According to every reading, Aurelius 9 was uninhabited. Yet the evidence of human presence, recent human presence, was undeniable. Commander, Coda 9 interrupted her thoughts. We have reached the 47-hour mark. Annexation protocol requires preparation for the flag planting ceremony at the 48-hour conclusion. Arwen took a deep breath. Understood. Notify the team to prepare for the ceremony. Location: the primary crater floor, as originally designated. Lieutenant Penn has requested a change of location, the AI unit informed her. He suggests the canyon where the first flag was discovered. Arwen considered this. Denied. We proceed as planned. The crater floor offers better defensive positioning should we encounter Complications. As the team assembled at the crater floor, the tension was palpable. Penn had insisted on a full security detail, himself and 2 automated defense drones, surrounding the flag-planting site. Sykes operated the recording equipment with nervous precision. Dr. Van stood slightly apart, her expression suggesting she was mentally cataloging the entire event for future analysis. Arwen herself carried the Omni-Azure standard, a retractable pole bearing the blue and silver emblem of the Confederation. As she approached the designated spot, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being observed. "Coda 9, run one final sensor sweep," she ordered. "Scanning," the AI unit responded. After a moment, "No life signs detected within scanning range. No unauthorized technology signatures detected. Area is secure according to all parameters." Arwen nodded, then addressed the team formally. "In accordance with Article 314C of the Interstellar Annexation Manual, having completed the required 48-hour continuous scan with no evidence of current intelligent habitation, I hereby claim the planet designated Aurelis 9 for the Omni-Azure Confederation." She drove the flagpole into the ground with a single, practiced motion. The pole extended automatically, unfurling the blue and silver standard of Omni-Azure. For a moment, everything was still. Arwen felt a sense of accomplishment mingled with lingering unease. Despite the strange anomalies, they had completed their mission according to protocol. Then Sykes gasped, "Commander, look!" Arwen turned to follow his gaze, and what she saw froze her blood. A small, unmarked drone, unlike any design in the Confederation registry, had descended silently from the sky. Before anyone could react, it dropped a package at the base of the Omni-Azure flagpole and then vanished upward, disappearing from their sensors as quickly as it had appeared. The package unfolded itself automatically, revealing an Auroran Republic flag identical to the one they had discovered in the canyon. It planted itself directly at the base of the Omni-Azure standard, the faded blue, silver, and green colors a mocking counterpoint to the Confederation's emblem. "Weapons ready!" Penn shouted, training his sidearm on the sky. "Coda 9, track that drone!" Unable to comply, the AI unit responded. "No drone signature detected on any frequency." Arwen stared at the flags, one representing the mighty Omni-Azure Confederation, the other, a defunct human faction, standing side by side on the crater floor. The symbolism was unmistakable, a challenge, a statement that no matter what claims the Confederation made, someone else had been there first and would not be intimidated. In that moment, something in Arwen snapped. The cool professionalism that had defined her career gave way to frustrated anger. "This is Lieutenant Commander Arwen Kale of the Omni-Azure Confederation," she broadcast on all frequencies. "To whoever is responsible for these intrusions, I demand you identify yourselves immediately." Silence. "This planet is now under Confederation jurisdiction. Your actions constitute unauthorized interference with an official annexation mission. Show yourselves." More silence, then a burst of static over the comm system. A voice, distorted and mischievous, responded, "We were never here. Now we are. That's all you need to know." Then silence again. Arwen looked at her team. Penn's weapon shook slightly in his grip. Sykes and Van exchanged panicked glances. The realization struck them all simultaneously. Whoever these human pranksters were, they had real-time capability to monitor, insert objects, and communicate without being detected by any of their sophisticated technology. The entire annexation plan, indeed, the very notion of Omni-Azure's technological superiority, had been undermined in a single moment. "Return to the shuttle," Arwen ordered, her voice tight with suppressed emotion. "Coda 9, record everything, data logs, audio samples, visual documentation of the flag swap, everything." As they retreated to the survey shuttle, Arwen's mind raced. What were they dealing with? How could human operatives, apparently from a defunct faction, possess stealth technology, capable of evading Omni Azure's most advanced sensors. And why go to such lengths for what appeared to be an elaborate prank? Once aboard the shuttle, Arwen immediately composed a message to Omni Azure High Command, detailing the incidents in precise, factual language. She included all sensor data, visual records, and Coda 9's analysis. The reply, when it came, was brief and unexpected. Record the data. Replant Omni Azure flag at next safe coordinate. Do not engage in psychological bait. Complete mission as directed. Arwen read the message twice, unable to believe the response. High Command was glossing over what could be the most significant encounter with advanced human technology in decades. They were treating it as a minor annoyance, rather than the potential security threat it represented. "What are our orders, Commander?" Penn asked, his expression tense. Arwen hesitated, then straightened her shoulders. "We are to replant the flag at another location and complete the mission as directed." "That's it?" Sykes blurted, incredulous. "After everything we've seen?" "Those are our orders, Ensign," Arwen replied, though she shared his frustration. Penn's expression hardened. "So we just ignore the fact that someone with advanced stealth technology is playing games with Confederation territory?" "We document everything," Arwen corrected him. "We follow protocol, and we complete our mission." The mood in the shuttle was somber as they prepared for another flag-planting ceremony. Arwen could see the disappointment and frustration in her team's expressions. She felt it herself, the sense that something important was being dismissed by bureaucratic inertia. Dr. Van approached her privately as the others prepared the equipment. "Commander," she said in a low voice, "I believe there's more to discover here. The behavior we're witnessing suggests a deliberate pattern, not random pranks, but a calculated demonstration." Arwen studied the geologist's composed features. "What are you suggesting, Doctor?" "That we investigate further, off the record. There's a scientific puzzle here that deserves proper study." Arwen considered this for a moment. "What did you have in mind?" "The collapsed cavern system. I'd like to take another look, with specialized ground-penetrating equipment. If we go at night, using only passive sensors, it was against protocol. It would potentially delay their departure." But Arwen found herself nodding. "Very well. You and I will conduct a discreet investigation after dark. No comms, no active scanning, passive instruments only." Hours later, under the cover of Aurelis 9's night cycle, Arwen and Dr. Van slipped away from the base camp. They carried only essential equipment and relied on night vision enhancements rather than active illumination. "The cavern entrance should be just ahead," Van whispered, consulting her handheld scanner. "I'm detecting faint thermal variances consistent with the previous readings." They approached cautiously, Arwen's hand resting on her sidearm. The entrance was exactly as Penn had described, a narrow opening in the crystalline rock face, leading to what appeared to be a tunnel system, too regular to be natural. "Deploying passive drones," Van murmured, releasing 3 small, silent reconnaissance units. Unlike standard drones, these operated without active scanning technology, relying instead on visual and thermal imaging. The drones disappeared into the darkness. Arwen and Van huddled over Van's datapad, watching the feed with tense anticipation. "The tunnels are definitely artificial," Van commented, as the first images came through. "Look at the tool marks on the walls. Precision cutting, not natural erosion." The drones continued deeper, revealing a network of passages that seemed to extend far beneath the surface. Then, suddenly, one of the drone's feeds showed something unexpected, a rock overhang concealing what appeared to be a metal door. "Can we get closer?" Arwen asked, her voice tight with anticipation. Van directed the drone forward. The door was crude but effective, a simple metal hatch set into the tunnel wall, easily missed if you weren't looking for it. "Can the drone open it?" "It can try," Van replied, sending commands to the unit. The drone extended a small manipulator arm and pressed against the door. To their surprise, it swung open easily, revealing a small chamber beyond. What they saw inside left them both speechless. The chamber contained dozens of Omni-Azure flags, identical to the one Arwen had planted during the ceremony, each labeled with dates from weeks prior. Alongside them were schematic charts showing geological veins across Aurelius 9, matching exactly the survey data in the Omni-Azure database. And on a crude shelf at the back of the chamber sat a small, holographic projector. "Commander," Van whispered, "I think we should activate that projector." Arwen hesitated, then nodded. "Have the drone do it." The drone approached the projector and activated it with a gentle touch. A small, holographic message appeared, flickering slightly in the darkness. A human voice, speaking in a low-bit accent, delivered a simple message. "To any who follow us, surprise!" Arwen stared at the projection, the implications sinking in with cold clarity. The humans behind Greg's crew had systematically and covertly surveyed Aurelius 9 long before Omni-Azure's official mission. They had collected all the same data, planted their own flags, and then vanished without a trace, leaving behind just enough breadcrumbs to ensure the Confederation would discover their prank. "This was all deliberate," she said softly. "They wanted us to find this. They wanted us to know they were here first, that they could come and go as they pleased without our knowledge." Van nodded, her expression thoughtful. "The implications are significant. If humans possess stealth technology of this caliber, able to evade all our detection methods, then our assumptions about technological superiority need re-evaluation." They recalled the drones and retreated from the cavern, making their way back to the base camp in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. By morning, Arwen had made her decision. She would complete the mission as ordered, replanting the Omni-Azure flag and formally claiming Aurelius 9 for the Confederation. But she would also submit a classified report detailing their discoveries, a report that, she suspected, would likely be buried in the archives under low-priority, unverified myth. The final flag-planting ceremony was conducted without incident, though the team remained tense, half expecting another Auroran flag to appear at any moment. When none did, the relief was palpable but tainted with uncertainty. Had Greg's crew grown bored with their game? Or were they simply watching, laughing at the Confederation's stubborn insistence on protocol in the face of their pranks? As they prepared the survey shuttle for departure, Arwen composed her classified report. Subject: Aurelius 9 reconnaissance. Findings: confirmed unknown actors, reflagging planetary territory. Possess advanced stealth, capable of bypassing all known scans. Suggest re-evaluation of annexation protocols and heightened vigilance. She knew the report would likely be dismissed or ignored. The Omni-Azure Confederation, like most large bureaucracies, was resistant to information that contradicted its established worldview. The idea that humans, especially from a defunct faction like the Auroran Republic, could possess technology capable of evading their most sophisticated detection systems would be met with skepticism at best, outright denial at worst. As the shuttle lifted off from Aurelius 9's surface, Arwen gazed down at the glittering crystalline landscape. Somewhere down there, Greg's crew had operated with impunity, leaving behind just enough evidence to make their point. "We were here first, and you never knew." The journey back to Omni-Azure space was quiet, each member of the team processing the experience in their own way. Penn had grown increasingly withdrawn, his faith in military protocol visibly shaken. Sykes alternated between excited speculation about Greg's crew and periods of brooding silence. Dr. Van spent most of the journey analyzing her collected data, occasionally making notes for what Arwen suspected would become an unofficial research project. As for Arwen herself, she found her perspective on her role within the Confederation subtly but fundamentally altered. The blind faith in technological superiority and bureaucratic order that had defined her career now seemed naive in the face of what they had encountered on Aurelius 9. Upon their return, the team was debriefed separately, standard procedure for missions involving anomalies. As Arwen had predicted, her classified report was acknowledged, filed, and effectively forgotten. The official record of the Aurelius 9 annexation mentioned only minor sensor anomalies and declared the mission a success. The team was disbanded and reassigned. Arwen received orders, transferring her to a mundane orbital mapping station near the Shimmering Belt, a clear demotion disguised as a lateral move. Before departing for her new assignment, she discovered that she wasn't the only one whose career had been affected by the Aurelius 9 incident. Ensign Marlowe Sykes had requested and received a transfer to an intelligence unit in the capital, where rumors suggested he had volunteered for a small, unofficial team focused on tracking anomalous human activity in frontier regions. His obsession with Greg's crew had found a new outlet, albeit one unlikely to receive serious attention from Confederation leadership. Lieutenant Idrin Penn had been even more dramatically affected. After filing a formal protest regarding the handling of the Aurelius 9 mission, he had been demoted to training cadet instructor at a remote outpost. Colleagues whispered that his lectures to new officers frequently included warnings about the dangers of underestimating human unpredictability, warnings that earned him the nickname Paranoid Penn among the Confederation brass. Most interesting to Arwen was the fate of Dr. Elora Van. The geologist had returned to academic life, and within months had published a cryptic paper titled Anomalous Planetary Stealth Techniques, Theoretical Approaches, under the pseudonym G. Crewman. The paper never explicitly mentioned Aurelius 9, but outlined several hypothetical methods by which a small team might evade standard detection protocols. It circulated primarily among specialized research institutes and was largely dismissed as speculative. But Arwen recognized the truth hidden within its carefully worded theoretical framework. As for Arwen herself, she performed her new duties at the mapping station with professional competence, but diminished enthusiasm. In her quarters, hidden in a secure compartment, she kept a small memento from Aurelius 9, one of the Auroran flags they had discovered, carefully preserved. She would sometimes take it out during off-duty hours, running her fingers over the faded fabric, reminding herself of the lesson it represented. The flag was part trophy, part warning, a tangible reminder that the galaxy was larger and more complex than Omni Azure's neat categorizations could encompass. That humans, with their unpredictability and ingenuity, could not be so easily contained by databases and treaties. 3 years after the Aurelius 9 mission, a strange rumor began to circulate among Survey Corps officers. On a distant moon in the Orion Fringe, a routine patrol drone had captured footage of a solitary flag planted on a barren ridge, an Omni Azure standard, perfectly regulation. Except for one detail: no Confederation mission had ever been authorized for that moon. The drone's final transmission before it mysteriously malfunctioned was simple and cryptic. "We don't know where they went, but there's a flag there now." Arwen heard the rumor during a supply stop at Centauri Station. She said nothing, but later that night, alone in her temporary quarters, she took out the faded Auroran flag and smiled for the first time in years. The game continued. It was nearly 5 years after the Aurelius 9 incident when Arwen received an unexpected communication. She had been promoted back to active survey duty, not because the Confederation had revised its assessment of the incident, but simply because the bureaucracy eventually forgot why she had been demoted in the first place. The message came through her private channel, bypassing official Confederation networks. It contained no sender identification, just a set of coordinates and 3 words. "Still playing dibs?" Arwen recognized the coordinates immediately. Aurelius 9, specifically the crater floor where they had conducted the final flag-planting ceremony. She deleted the message immediately, knowing that even acknowledging its receipt could end her career. But the damage was done, the seed planted in her mind. What would she find if she returned to Aurelis 9? Had Greg's crew continued their game in the years since the initial encounter? Or was this merely bait, an attempt to lure her into a trap? The rational part of her mind argued for ignoring the message, for continuing her carefully reconstructed career without risking another incident. But another part, the part that had kept the Auroran flag all these years, whispered that perhaps the greatest risk was in not knowing. 3 months later, Arwen found herself aboard a small, private transport vessel bound for the Outer Territories. She had taken an extended leave of absence, citing personal reasons, and had gone to considerable lengths to ensure her journey wouldn't be traced back to her Confederation identity. The vessel was captained by a grizzled human woman named Taurus, who asked no questions beyond confirmation of payment. As they approached Aurelis 9's system, Arwen found herself growing increasingly tense. Would the planet be as they had left it? Would there be Confederation outposts established in the years since their mission? Or would she find something else entirely? "Approaching target system," Taurus announced gruffly. "Standard scans show no active vessels in the vicinity. You want me to enter orbit?" "Yes," Arwen replied, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. "Standard orbit. I'll need a shuttle to the surface." Taurus raised an eyebrow but nodded. "Your credits. Your call. But I ain't waiting more than 48 hours. After that, you're on your own." Arwen found the time frame grimly appropriate. "Understood." As the shuttle descended through Aurelis 9's atmosphere, Arwen was struck by how unchanged the landscape appeared. The same crystalline deserts, the same stark mountains on the horizon, the same sense of beautiful desolation. She guided the shuttle to the coordinates from the mysterious message, the crater floor, where they had planted the final Omni-Azure flag. As the vessel touched down, Arwen donned her environmental suit with practiced efficiency, checked her equipment one final time, and stepped out onto the surface of Aurelis 9 once more. The crater appeared exactly as she remembered it, with one significant difference. Where the Omni-Azure flag had stood, there was now a circle of flags, dozens of them, representing various factions, corporations, and political entities from across the galaxy. At the center of this strange forest of standards stood a simple metal pole bearing a plain white flag with a single word emblazoned upon it. "Everyone." Arwen approached slowly, her scanner confirming what her eyes could see. These were physical flags, not holograms or projections. Someone had physically planted each one, creating this bizarre monument in the middle of an unclaimed world. As she studied the circle of flags, she noticed something else, a small, portable data terminal positioned at the base of the central pole. It activated as she approached, projecting a holographic message that hovered in the air before her. "Greetings, Lieutenant Commander Kale. Welcome back to Aurelis 9, or as we prefer to call it, Greg's place." The message paused, as if giving her time to process the fact that whoever had left this knew exactly who would be responding to their invitation. "You're probably wondering why we've gone to such lengths to create this little demonstration. The answer is simple. Because we can. Because it's important for the mighty Omni-Azure Confederation to remember that their protocols, their sensors, their very concept of territorial control, all of it exists only so long as everyone agrees to play by their rules." "We don't agree." "This planet doesn't belong to anyone. Not to Omni-Azure, not to the defunct Auroran Republic, not even to us. That's the point you missed last time. We're not claiming territory. We're making a statement about the absurdity of planting flags on worlds you've never truly understood. If you're curious about how we've managed to evade your detection all this time, look beneath this terminal. Consider it a professional courtesy from one surveyor to another." The message ended, and Arwen found herself staring at the base of the terminal. There, partially buried in the crystalline sand, was a small device unlike any she had seen before. She carefully extracted it and examined it with her scanner. The device appeared to be a miniature stealth field generator, but operating on principles that defied conventional physics. According to her scanner, it shouldn't work at all, yet clearly it did, as evidenced by Greg's crew's ability to come and go from Aurelius 9 without detection. Arwen pocketed the device, knowing that bringing it back to the Confederation would mean explaining where she had obtained it, why she had returned to Aurelius 9 unsanctioned. The questions would end her career more thoroughly than the original incident ever had. As she prepared to return to the shuttle, a final message appeared on the terminal. P.S. If you're wondering why we picked you, specifically, for this revelation, you were the only one who kept looking after everyone else stopped. The only one who kept asking questions when you were told to forget. That curiosity, that refusal to accept the convenient explanation, that's the most human quality of all, Commander. Even if you're not human yourself. Arwen stood motionless for a long moment, processing the implications of that final statement. Then, with a decisive movement, she reached up and removed her helmet, exposing her features to Aurelius 9's atmosphere for the first time. The air was thin but breathable, exactly as her original survey had indicated. The wind brushed against her face, carrying the scent of mineral dust and something else. Something she couldn't quite identify, but that spoke of possibility, of mystery, of frontiers yet unexplored. She looked at the circle of flags once more, understanding the message more clearly now. It wasn't just a prank or a political statement. It was an invitation to see beyond the boundaries of established thought, to question the very nature of exploration and territorial claims. When she returned to the shuttle, Captain Torres raised an eyebrow at her thoughtful expression, but asked no questions. As they lifted off from Aurelius 9's surface for the last time, Arwen gazed down at the diminishing circle of flags, a colorful mandala in the midst of crystalline desert, visible only to those who knew exactly where to look. She never filed a report about her unsanctioned return to Aurelius 9. The device remained hidden among her personal effects, a reminder of mysteries still unsolved. Her career continued along its predictable trajectory. More surveys, more annexations, more flags planted on distant worlds in the name of the Omni-Azure Confederation. But something had changed within her. Each new world she surveyed, each flag she planted, came with a silent acknowledgement. We are not the first, nor will we be the last. The universe is larger than our protocols can encompass. Years later, when she finally reached retirement age and was granted the traditional ceremonial farewell, Arwen Kale was asked about her most memorable mission. The assembled dignitaries expected tales of the resource-rich worlds she had claimed for the Confederation, or perhaps stories of navigating treacherous planetary conditions. Instead, she smiled mysteriously and said only, "Sometimes, the most significant discoveries are the ones we can't explain. The flags we find planted when no one should have been there to plant them." The statement was met with polite confusion, quickly forgotten amid the ceremonies that followed. But somewhere, perhaps on a distant world where no official ship had yet landed, a group of humans known only as Greg's crew raised a toast to the retired commander who had understood their message at last. And somewhere in the vast archives of the Omni-Azure Confederation, a report still existed, buried under low-priority, unverified myth, that began with the words, "Subject, Aurelius 9 reconnaissance. Findings, confirmed unknown actors reflagging planetary territory. A warning unheeded, a lesson unlearned, except by those few who knew to look for the flags that shouldn't be there, planted by those who had never officially arrived." The game continued, across planets and decades, a cosmic-scale demonstration of a simple truth. No matter how advanced your technology, how rigid your protocols, how vast your empire, there will always be humans who delight in proving that they can slip through the cracks, that they can plant their flags where they shouldn't be, that they can appear and disappear without a trace, leaving behind only a mischievous message. We don't know where they went, But there's a flag there now,